Okay, my name is Wei Wang. I'm from the Heart BD2K Center at UCLA. Today I'm going to share with you one of the projects that we are currently doing at UCLA called Aztec. Aztec is actually a biomedical resource discovery knowledge base that we are creating, and that should include the web services, standalone softwares and libraries and the tools and APIs that people, actually investigators, have created for the biomedical domain. And then our goal is to actually make all of them at the moment is primarily fundable, right? So, because actually, if you think about there, so actually are already a number of existing tool repositories people are using and deposit their tool and doing the search to find the tools that they want to use. And we want to show that actually we want to, of course, integrate many of those and also provide the ability to quickly incorporating new tools, and I want to be able to facilitate actually semantic rich search and assembly of analytics pipelines. And all these processes are heavily rely on machine learning technologies that we're developing. So this is the overall architecture of Aztec. So we're taking resources from three major sources. The first one is the scientific literature. So basically, we know that most of us, right, we are developing new methods and tools, and one of the ways that we use to disseminate our development would be through publication. So if you go to the PubMed, actually, every month you would see there's a lot more papers talking about a new method, new tools. So we want to be able to automatically parse those documents to be able to, A, figure out whether there's a new software, new algorithm, new tools that's being introduced by a paper, and B, if that's the answer is yes, we want to be able to automatically to generate the metadata that describing those tools and index in our system so that the other users would be able to search and find it and use it. Of course, as I mentioned just now, that there are already quite a number of existing efforts for building the two categories, repositories. And here's on the screen just a small sample of them. Actually, we have identified over 2,000, close to 3,000 of those. And you can see that some of the popular tools are being indexed by multiple of those. And if you compare the metadata being indexed by multiple tool repositories, some of them actually heavily overlap, especially for the same tool, but some of them actually use slightly different metadata schema, and also sometimes the description of the tools are quite different. And the last source of the tools we're getting is to be able to support user submission. If you're an author of a new tool, actually we already provide an interface so that you could use that to upload the new tools into the system. And in this process, actually, we want to be able to support the user exploration and be able to synthesize the new analytics pipelines using the tools that's been indexed in this. So in order to enable that, actually there's a two part. One is the metadata extraction part that heavily using the machine learning technology, and then the other part is that once we have everything extracted and catalogs in the database, we want to be able to we build a called Aztec IR information retrieval system that allow a user to be able to post queries and the search, and we want to be able to, based on the metadata and be able to answer actually semantic similarity queries to support the search and the synthesis. And so far, we have already indexed over 10,000 tools. You can see that that's breakdown that the top field would be we incorporate the current tools from a major tool repositories, and we already process papers from bioinformatics, because we picked that journal is because actually many people publish new tools and softwares in bioinformatics, and we already have actually 400 some user submitted tools. So there are a number of features. In the interest of time, I'm not going to go through all of them, but rather I would want to be able to actually, show you the, I've highlighted a couple of the features that we're using, and especially those ones that heavily rely on machine learning technology. And those will be the interface. If you go to the website, aztec.bio, and then that you can type in anything, and then that would hit a return. It will give you this page, and then you can click tools. So you can using multifaceted search on the left hand side, and then if you click one of them, and then you can see that we already highlight all the established ontology terms that are highlighted in blue. And if you click one of them, it's already connected to the bio portal if there's a established term there. So, and as I mentioned, that we allow user to submit the tool, and then instead of typing all the metadata, actually you just need to upload a paper or any document in PDF format currently, and then we will be able to extract the metadata automatically. And in terms of the extraction, many of the field seems relatively easy, but the tool part, the tool description, and also the keyword that we use to describing the function of the tools are not so straightforward. And those two parts, actually, we use a lot of machine learning techniques to be able to summarize the text that's in the document, and also to be able to generate the meaningful text that really describes the function of the tool. So we're doing this through publication mining. And then I'm going to show you briefly the actually just the query processing and the publication mining part. For query processing, we call the engine is called Aztec IR. And one solution, actually our earlier version, we use the information retrieval system based on the Solr, but then later we discovered that that's have limited capacity to support semantic similarity queries, especially in the biomedical field. There's already established a very rich and broad biomedical ontology and the knowledge base. And we want to be able to incorporate those. And this is the overall architecture, and then I'm just going to show you a few highlights because we use two corpus. The first corpus would be to include all the text that we could collect, and right now in our pilot study we use abstract from publications and plus the current tool descriptions available in Aztec to be able to train basically a word embedding a feature space that describes actually the space that people of the language that people use to describe software tools in this domain. You can see that there's many subfield of in this biomedical area, so that the language, actually the terminology people use are very rich. So it's actually quite a challenging task. And the second corpus is basically the kernel of the Aztec that we use to describe all those tools. With those tools, and then actually we will be able to, I'm not going to do detail, of course, we have to go through a few phases such as phrase recognition, and also be able to expand the query using synonyms and hypernames, hyponames. And all of those, we basically using Wikidata and also establish the ontologies. And those are just a few samples. Actually, right now we incorporate more and more. So to be able to make the connection of all those terms properly. These are the simple examples as just abbreviation, but the more complicated example is that sometimes the standard natural language processing would not work because for the typical like the stemming and then extension, that's basically still need to have the same root of the word. But here, people can use very different terms but mean quite similar things. We want to be able to make those connection properly. And the main idea here is actually we use an algorithm called text rank, or actually a variation of that algorithm. The idea here is that we want to be able to apply a Google PageRank approach, but instead of the website, but here we want to build that on the terms. So that in that way we could have a way to evaluate the importance of a term and the relevance to the ones that we're querying. So I'm not going to go through the detail of this. Basically, you construct a big graph, and then you want to run a Google PageRank on this. Eventually, they will have you give you a good similarity ranking about how relevance of the term there that to the ones that we're interested in. So this is just to show you for some 12 sample queries, and the orange one is the rightmost bar that is actually show you that these give you a much higher accuracy than any of the previous method. And this way we could find a really good set of similar, because if you post a query and then you already have some tool in that you know, and then you want to be able to find what are the similar ones that you could also use as alternative tools, sometimes maybe newer tools or tools developed by an alternative another team. So actually we would be able to support that in a much better way. And we'll also be able to rank them, so that because sometimes for popular areas such as, let's see, RNA sequencing analysis, there'll be many, many tools there. And then how would you rank them? So that, and then this would also provide a very efficient way and actually accurate ways in ranking those. So basically rearrange them based on the importance, significance, and similarity. And I'm going to use the last minute or so to discuss the publication mining. And then, because all of the things I said just now, based on the assumption that the tool descriptions and metadata in the system, in our Aztec system, actually is rich and accurate. But how do you do that? I said that we want to be able to automatically generate that from papers, from document. And you can see that papers published in different journals would have different format. And then they are describing the tools in very different ways. How do we handle that? And then some of them are easy, like this is a bioinformatics paper. Easy is that you can see that you can easily find the corresponding descriptions. But some of them are really hard, because all you could find would be that you need to go into the link to find the proper document and to be able to figure out what are the corresponding metadata that are describing the tools. So this is what we are working on, is basically we want to be able to, from the text uploaded or the PDF uploaded, want to be able to generate a summary that describes the function of the tools. And you can see that the abstract may not be always be the best method, because for bioinformatics paper, maybe abstract or part of abstract is good. But for other methods, actually, where the tool is only one part, maybe even in the supplemental material, then we cannot take the abstract as a tool description. We want to be able to actually generate a summary of the tools and from the paper. So this is, again, through machine learning. And another thing we're working on is the domain classification of those tools. And this is actually a distribution of all the current tools in Aztec. You can see that they have a different domain, and some of them overlapping multiple domains. And we want to be able to actually using a semantic similarity-based recommendation system that to basically predict what would be the best tool. So, and this is just some examples. You can see some of them have one domain, and some of them actually across different domains. This is a comparison. We did comparison of the topic modeling based or another like information retrieval based approach. The SSR is our method that actually achieves the best accuracy so far. This is the last part is the tag generation and the keyword generation. Sometimes the paper already have a few keywords. Again, those keywords may or may not be the best at describing those tools. We want to be able to generate a few keywords that really accurately describe the function of those tools. And we want to be able to use somewhat standard language. That means that may not be a word or term appear exactly in the paper. Right? We want to be able to summarize the semantics and use the term actually defined in some established ontology as a way to describe the method. In this way, we use a topic. Currently, we use a topic modeling, and then on the left-hand side, right-hand side, on the blue ones are the standard method. What we add is to the left half of those green ones, and also the one highlighted there. Okay, so. That's what we call knowledge source. So basically, we want to be able to use the existing knowledge source. Currently, we're taking ontology from Bell Proto. And but we can, later we'll incorporate more other ontologies. And also we use that and we link into Wikipedia, because Wikipedia have a page typically describe a established medical term. That can give us an initial prior of the word distribution that people use for that term. And that can give us a linkage that bridging between the established term to the description in the paper. So I'm running out of time. This would be just some examples that works, and you can see that the last, even though our goal is to be able to support the whole process in an automated or at least semi-automated way, and the very last stage would be the validation phase to make sure that everything is right before it's going to production. So that's long-term goal is basically we really want to be able to automatically capture everything from PubMed and from the newly published paper, and also we want to be able to integrate this repository with other work by other team. So this is a large team effort, and those are the two groups from my student and also Pepe Ping's student. We also receive tremendous help from Henning from MOEBI on this. Thank you.